Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Taos in Baltimore. We are Baltimore positive, and there's nothing more positive than being here in Dundalk, where Costas in beautiful. Almost. Sparrows Point wants to claim Costas, but I'm not going to let him do that because it's Dundalk. It's all brought to you by the Maryland Lottery. We have the Magic 8 Ball, the Lucky Magic 8 Ball, as well as our friends at Wise Markets. We are creating awareness this week on a cup of soup or bowl for the Maryland Food Bank and feeding folks and doing good things. And we are completely showing off everyone in the community that's doing amazing, amazing things, including this young man that has been sent to me. You know, Karen Sagal wrote to me, and then my buddy Chris Forehand, who's going to come on later on with the Taos and Torch. You have come highly recommended from 3 or 4 different angles, and I don't know how I got you over here on 24 hours notice.
That's good to hear.
You know, I first things first, I heard you were from Trinidad Tobago, and your accent will be here, Chris, in a minute. But I said I love the food down in the islands, so I have to do that. But the pronunciation of the patois and sort of that French Creole English, I saw your name, and I want to get this right because I'm not going to have any problem describing what you do or the name of 4MyCity. You can remember that.
That's easy, yeah.
Four,
Number 4,
like,
yeah.
woo, 4MyCity. And I've heard about you, but I was wondering how to pronounce this great last name. Christopher Dipnarine. Dipnarine. I thought it's Dipnarine, but that's American.
Yeah, that's how the Americans say it.
It's the ein that comes from.
Yep, ein, yep.
So you're Trinidad, Tobago. Tell everybody about Trinidad, because this is a little island. It's beautiful.
It's very multicultural island, right? So, believe it or not, like my family's from India. Like, we have that whole Indian background, and we have African-American genes.
Man knows a curry when he has one. I'll tell you that right now.
I even found out I did that DNA thing. I even found out I had German in me. So maybe that's the ein in the name.
So you hail from Trinidad. I've heard your name around Baltimore. I have heard of this sustainability project that you talk about, where I sort of call it seed to compost, right? Like from the beginning of where food would come from through how it's grown, sourced, harvest, fed, and then the trash component of destroying the earth. This is you went to school for this at some point, I know, and I know you've got an interesting background. But you've gone to the school of hard knocks, and you're trying to figure this out.
I worked, listen, I moved here when I was 18 from Trinidad, $500 in my pocket. And I'm the true immigrant story, man. Started working in Home Depot, making $8 an hour.
Did you come here legally or illegally?
Legally.
Legally. Now, how did you get here legally? Everybody give me that.
I came on a student visa. So I had a visa, tourist visa, came over, spent some time in America. I love.
Is that a dream? Every kid.
Everyone has a dream, man. I mean, listen, growing up, I grew up very poor. I grew up, impoverished in the country, broken home. For me, it was like you ever felt like you were bigger than somewhere? I've always felt like I was bigger than Trinidad. It's sad to say it that way, but I always felt like I was meant for something bigger.
I think a lot of people on islands either feel one way or the other. I spent a lot of time in Jamaica. My people are from Venezuela. My father's from Venezuela. So my father came here legally and then decided to go live his life back in Venezuela and left me behind 40 years ago. But I think when you grow up on an island, you're either really content that this is home and blue water is home, or I need to go.
Bigger,
and
right?
I don't. And you know both kinds of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people dream of leaving and never leave. And
exactly.
you know those people as well. But for the people that do come here, that speak different, walk different, talk different, pray different, think different, love different, the humanity part of wanting to be in America is not to come here and rape and pillage. It's to come here and contribute.
And that's
people come here to want
exactly,
to contribute, man.
Most people that do come here to kind of change their lives, right? It's a land of opportunity. I always say that's what I believe in America. You can talk about all other nonsense, man, but you have opportunity here in this country. Regardless of race, color, creed, it doesn't matter. You can make it here. I don't care what anybody else says. Like, if you're hardworking, you can make it here. I never went to school for sustainability. I saw a problem that I thought I could fix, and I launched my organization to fix it. That's kind of like my story.
4MyCity, it's right here. I'll never, it's almost like your name badge here. Give everybody your background. You have a really a story
diverse,
to tell.
diverse,
you have a story to tell that it involves not such great things in some cases. So
No,
get rid of your whole story,
listen,
man.
yeah, I was driving up here just now in this Dundalk. Listen, I used to race up and down here back in the day, in 99, 98.
You were the one.
With the cars and stuff. So, I mean, I moved here when I was 18, worked my way up through, companies, Home Depot, Lowe's, Lazy Boy.
When did you get here?
99.
1999, you're
Yep.
18 years old time?
18
So you're
years
born in 81.
Yep.
So you come here and you just need to get a job.
Yeah, need to get
You
a
speak
job.
the language, which is
Well, I
ahead of
speak English, right,
sure.
Yep. Just need to get a job, and again, just started working my way up into different companies, became management, executive management, to then owning my own businesses. I had a boat manufacturing businesses, had a car shop, speed shop. Like I said, repair cars and work on cars. And
You
stuff.
like fast cars?
I
do you?
love fast cars.
Oh, that's your thing. All right.
I love cars. Cars are my weakness.
They drive on the left in Trinidad. It's
they drive on the
British
opposite
style.
side.
Right,
Opposite side. Yeah,
All right.
British style. So I love cars. Worked my way up. In 2018, I witnessed a homeless person get killed in front of me. And when you grow up poor and you come here and you be successful, this is something people don't always tell you. When you become successful, no matter what you're doing, you get out of your bad situation, your life changes. You disassociate yourself from certain things. You don't live or try to live in the same neighborhoods you try to live in. You don't run in the same circles you try to
You
run
don't race cars down North
you
Point
don't-
Boulevard
you don't
anymore.
race cars down North Point Boulevard anymore. But your life changes, right? And, again, as I became successful, I got disconnected with how people really felt that is trying to get where I'm at, that struggle, right? And when I witnessed that homeless person get killed in front of me, I stopped. I was the only one that stopped. Everybody else was taking pictures of me in the street. I was in a full suit too, man, a Calvin Klein suit, expensive suit.
Where did this happen?
In Florida.
Okay.
Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Okay.
Mike Voss is his name. Rest in peace, Mike. But I stopped. Everybody was taking pictures of me there. Even when the cops showed up, they thought I was the one who killed the guy. It was a hit and run. The guy just drove off. I don't even know if they ever caught the guy or not. But I stopped and I rendered help to this guy. And, I was with the guy when, unfortunately, he made his last breath. And at that moment, man, I don't know if he went in me or whatever the case may be, I decided I need to change my life. Funny enough, the next day I posted on my social media just a GoFundMe, right? And I have wealthy friends. I have lots of family and stuff. One person donated on that GoFundMe. From all the people I know, I said, because I was going to pay for his funeral, right? So I said, let me try this GoFundMe thing. Let me just
What were
see.
you doing in Fort Lauderdale at the time?
I was living there. I'd moved there. So I had an import-export business, and I was working on my boat business where we were making and manufacturing some speedboats. So you want to be in Florida. I mean, it's the largest boat in the industry. When I realized that, a lot of people were in my life that weren't really connected to me for the right reasons. Here I posted a sad story. I got a lot of likes and comments. Oh, you did blah, blah. But nobody supported me trying to help the guy or help the family or pay for his funeral or anything. And that really changed something in me, man. So I actually sold most of the stuff I had, closed down that business, and I launched 4MyCity. I bought it was my mom's car at the time, but I kind of paid it off. I had a 2013 Subaru Outback. And I just started going around and asking people for the leftover food. And I would go to the homeless camps in Baltimore and stuff. And I wanted to launch it here in Baltimore because this city gave me everything. When I first moved to Trinidad, I moved here. Don't ask me why.
Oh, I was going to say, what brought you here?
I don't even know, man. I don't even know.
Did you know where this was? Did you have a map?
I knew it was somewhere on the outskirts.
Were you
of
a Raven fan or something? What
nothing,
was this?
Nothing. I didn't even know what American football was at the time. But the year after they won the Super Bowl, and I became a Ravens fan.
All right.
But
play soccer in your country.
I do.
That's what they do.
But I don't even know why we moved here, man. I mean, but again, we ended up here in Baltimore. And it was a city that, gave me everything from, financial wealth to success in my career to, again, being locked up, going to jail here in Baltimore and all
Tell me that
stuff.
story.
Listen, I was ignorant, from driving cars and having tons of speeding tickets to driving away from cops to, assault, fighting in bars and clubs and stuff. That was me. I was a troubled kid, man. I was young, you had money, and you do dumb stuff. You know,
that was part of it. Having the accent, having money too, having a good career.
You know, exactly.
Right.
You know, when you're young, you're 20, 21 years old, and you're making 80, 90,000 a year. I mean, you feel like you're God, especially when you come from nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you come from nothing, you never had that kind of money. I went to the dealership and walked out with a brand new Mustang, man. Brand new V8 Mustang. And that in those days, 2000, that was like 21 grand. You can get a brand new Mustang right out the door. You know,
Shined.
it shined, brand new. You know, I backed it off the truck. Thing had less than 1 mile on.
How did you learn to drive on the right-hand side of the road here? You know, that's what I want to know. I don't trust these foreign drivers on the wrong side of the road, you know.
That was a challenge, but it was fun.
I've driven in Australia, and I've driven in Ireland. I've driven on the wrong side of the road, but I've never tried it like in the islands, because people in the islands are, no offense, crazy. Like Jamaica, you don't want to drive you don't drive anywhere in Jamaica.
The 2 lanes were easy. When you get to those 4 lanes, it's kind of like when it got confusing. You're like, what the heck? Where do I go?
We flew to Australia, my wife and I, before her cancer, probably 2012, 13. And the whole time we talked about going over. This is when Google Maps started to work on phones. I said, I'm the navigator, you're the driver. She's like, I've never driven on the wrong side of the car, but I'll be better at it. And I'm like, all right, I don't want to drive on the wrong side of the road. Well, we get over to Australia, and my wife was about to have cancer, so I think she was battling some things. She had a headache at the airport, and the morning we were going to the airport to get the rental car in Sydney, she didn't feel well. And we got the car, and literally when we rented the car, we rented it in her name, but I went to the garage, and she's like, I don't feel well. And I'm like, I guess I'm driving.
You gotta drive.
So, like, I had to figure out moving to the other side of the car on the other side of the road. I don't know how I made it out of the garage at the airport, because once I got out to the road, I'm like, oh, my God, I'm in Sydney, Australia. I'm on the wrong side of the car, the wrong side of the road. Just driving alone in another culture would not lead me to want to do it fast.
The crazy thing is, I just got my license in Trinidad too. You know, you just learn and you get your license over there, so you're now practicing to drive. All I said,
you can't drive anywhere fast in Trinidad, can you?
Then, oh man, sure, that's the problem in those islands. You drive fast everywhere. Now the rules have changed. Back then, listen, the roads were clear in Trinidad.
All right, so you got yourself in trouble, and you wound up. Give me your legal story, because I think people just think, this kid's trouble, lock him up, throw him in jail. No, hold on a second. You're human. You had to deal with the legal system, incarceration, lawyers, money, the coming out of incarceration and finding a gig, right? Like,
it was just like a deal too. It wasn't like I locked up for a long time. They put you in the pen, you stay for a day. You know,
but that's on your record, right?
It's on your record, yes.
Okay, so you weren't really locked up. You were just locked up for a minute. You did wrong. We all did wrong, right? Yeah. Where is that moment of reckoning to say, one night in jail is enough. I don't need 2. I don't need 3. I don't need,
Listen, in 2000, I think it was 2003 or 2004, I was locked up like 3 times that year for, I think one was like reckless driving and drunk driving, DUI. Which was a stupid move, very stupid move. I 100%, don't condone that. But
we're talking 22 years ago, though, right?
Yeah.
You get a chance to change your life. And it's part of your story,
right? The
other
time was, I was in a club, got in a fight with the bouncer. Didn't like how he was, touching me or moving me around. But, yeah, again, ignorant kid. But,
there's a lot of those stories in Dundalk, and a lot of those people get out and they can't get a job because of one stupid thing.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Right?
Again, luckily, I had that, most of my career was really self-employed. Like, I always had some type of side business going on, so I didn't really care about the corporate jobs. Corporate jobs was, stability, right? When my daughter, when my ex-wife told me she was pregnant with my daughter, that was my I got to change my life.
Okay. All right. So parenting did that.
In
I had a pregnant girlfriend at 15, so I'm with you.
In 2000, my daughter was born in 2004, so 2003, when she told me she was pregnant with her, that was like it. That was my aha moment. Like, you know what? I got a daughter. I got to, and daughters change you. If you have a daughter, boys, I think you're a little bit more lenient. When you have a girl, I feel like as a father, like it changes you.
You get a little more protective.
You get a little more, yeah,
a little bit more.
Plus, you want to show her like how she wants to be treated. You know what I mean, or how she should be treated. So, you get a little bit more protective. You get a little bit more disciplined and stuff as a father. I think if you have a daughter, and I see that change with my kids. You know, I have boys and I have a girl, and I'm totally different with my girl compared to my boys.
Now, how old are your kids? How old's the family?
So my daughter's
Your daughter's 20.
20.
All right. Yeah, I did the math.
My son is January. He was just here January 28th. He just turned 12, and then I have a 9-year-old. Well, so 3 kids.
Chris Dipnarine is here. He is of Trinidad. Great accent, by the way. Reminds me of all the soccer players that I've ever had on. Well, that would be like Chinipu was from like Trinidad. We had people from
Dwight
Bermuda,
York,
though. Guys from Bermuda, all the islands.
You had anybody from Trinidad?
I know I have. I have to think about who that was. But, you know, I had a young guy named Joe who went to Calvert Hall in the 90s. I've been on the radio 33 years. He was my original phone caller in 96, 7, 8, 9 because he knew the premiership. He was the one guy in this city 30 years ago that watched international soccer. Now it's on the premiership's on every Saturday morning. But his name was Joe, and he was from Trinidad and Tobago, and I'll never forget this. Your country is really good with the bells, right? The drums, steel drums. Pans. So the Trinidad and Tobago Steel Drum Orchestra is over by Memorial Stadium in the neighborhood over there out of a church group. My wife loves this. The steel drums are her favorite thing in the whole world. And that's a Trinidad Tobago thing. But in that neighborhood over there, this guy Joe, I want to say it's 1996 or 7 or 8, in my youth, in my, I'm on the radio, it's 30 years ago. His name was Joe. He invited me to his father's home for Thanksgiving because they were from Trinidad and I knew the food would be good. Yeah. So he said, you're going to come over to my father's house. My father's going to make a Trinidad Thanksgiving. It was a Thanksgiving meal in America, and I remember watching football. I remember watching the Cowboys play in the afternoon at his house and having this Trinidadian feast going on. So I love the island people, man.
Yeah, island life is good, man.
They're not all doing what you're doing. 4MyCity, he's wearing it here. You're over on the southwest side of town.
Yeah.
And and I've talked freely about the Maryland Food Bank and every pantry in every community here, and I'm having them all on, whether it's Catonsville Assistance. I just had St. John's Lutheran Church. They have a food pantry. Food sustainability and food, not exactly what you're doing, but part of what you're doing,
Yeah,
right?
So that's one segment. So the 4 in the 4MyCity is really for a 4-phase sustainability plan. So you talked about it a little bit earlier. We're closing the entire loop on food waste, right? So when I wanted to launch my organization and I started rescuing food and just giving it out, I saw how massive the problem of food waste is. I mean, we waste about 40%. That's about 60 million tons of food.
40% of everything that is edible,
that is produced, just goes to waste, right? So you just spend all this money to grow it, to package it, to
is that
ship
rotting?
And you just throw it away. No, it's actually good food. That's the problem with it. It's really good food. The food is not anyway not edible. So if you come to our pantry, you'll see it's everything that we distribute is all edible food. We primarily focus on fruits and vegetables though. So this is a segment where most other food banks and food pantry, they kind of stay away from because it's very, with produce and fruits and vegetables, you have to turn it very fast.
Well, the greatest example would be this week. I'm telling folks, if you come out, bring canned
goods.
Canned goods for Maryland Food Bank, and that's great. And my father starved as a child, in 1929. My father, and I hadn't thought about this my father's been dead 30 years. I hadn't thought about it, and when the whole Super Bowl, I did 27 of these. I'd be in New Orleans today if it weren't for Chad Steele. Chad Steele threw me out. Hey, dude, I'm doing the good work here because I'm not in New Orleans this week. This is better, y'all. 100% better. 100% better. And I started thinking about what charity would I want to support in the first week of February that makes sense. And the coats and the gloves, we do that in November, right?
Definitely.
Food drive, everybody does canned goods in December, Christmas. We're thinking hams,
Exactly.
we're thinking turkey, we're thinking February comes, it's cold as hell, there's a snowstorm on the way, and all these pantries have been ravaged through the holidays, used during January, and nobody's given anything in January. I didn't go out of the house for 10 days. It was 5 degrees, right?
Yep.
And then we see these pantries, all of them, start to need more help
And
right
then
here, right
the
now.
need is greater these type of months, right? Because
That's
again,
what everybody told me. I'm glad you said
going
that.
into November, going into December, man, everybody wants to give because that's
Giving
it's
Tuesday,
Thanksgiving,
right?
it's giving this, right?
Right.
But everybody forgets about the rest of the year, and that's the sad part about it.
So what are you doing at 4MyCity rest of the year? Give me the whole thing here.
So we rescue food 24/7. No matter what, we rescue food all year round, right? So our first phase is really where we educate people, like we're doing here on the radio, about food waste and about donating instead of trashing, right? So we rescue food. I primarily focus on like the vendors, the big distributors, like the Amazons, the Walmart, like their warehouse, right? The produce distributors, the Lancasters, the Sudanos, directly from their warehouse and directly from your major farms. Then we divert that food to families that are facing hunger. So we have a pantry here in West Baltimore where it's an open market concept. Everything that we rescue is laid out on the table, and families can come in and pick up food resources Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We are closed from 1 to 2 for lunch.
For these folks, it almost serves as a market, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's shame-free.
Yep.
Right? And then
There
that's
you go.
such a
Exactly.
big. I'm from a proud Dundalk. You know, I mean,
Listen, I'm
this
the same way.
community's proud. No one wants to ask for anything.
So
you know,
when I built for my city, I wanted to make sure that I had that empathetic mind in place, right? So when you come to our thing, it doesn't look like a pantry. We're not giving you a box. You're walking up and we give you a box. You're coming in, you're shopping like you're shopping in a market. And you have people there from the community talking to you, helping you. We have on-site youth mentoring. We have composting, on-site composting right at our facility. So we developed technology that turns food waste into usable soil within 24 hours. We're the only organization in Maryland running that technology. We're the only organization in the United States with the largest indoor composter. I have a machine that turns up to 6,000 pounds of food waste into usable soil in 24 hours. Nobody's really talking about that, but we're advancing composting technology in the United States right now, beyond what everybody's doing.
Chris, give me your North Star on this to say, all right, it was 7 years ago. You're in Fort Lauderdale, you're in the boating business, you're making money, you're living the life, your kids are kids and like all that, and you see this homeless man get hit, you reach to your rich buddies, nobody wants to help, and you're like, okay. I mean, that's long past racing the cars and kids and not Trinidad and the island. So you're in Fort Lauderdale. Give me that pathway to say what is 4MyCity and what happened between homeless man in Fort Lauderdale and sustainability program in Southwest Baltimore.
So I moved here. I moved back here, and I started driving around picking up food, right? So like my first client was Hilton Hotels, Hilton in Baltimore. I said, go there on evenings, pick up all their leftover food, and just give it out to homeless people, right? But then COVID hit. I did this from there to 2020. Then when COVID hit, all the Hilton hotels were shutting down. So they had to empty their kitchens, right? So everybody started reaching out to me and say, hey, Chris, you know, I know the food bank is shut down already. Can you come pick it up? So I started picking up the food. And then distributors were calling me because they were getting my numbers through the grapevine. Hey, blah, blah, blah. We ended up setting up a church parking lot, St. Gabriel Church in Woodlawn. And I had a refrigerated trailer there. And all these companies just dump food there. And we had about 460 community organizations used to come to that parking lot and just go back to their various communities and give out food. That's when I realized, like, man.
So the plague really did this.
Yeah.
COVID started.
COVID started.
Put you in business
right.
to do what you're doing.
COVID really expanded my program and showed me the light also to how much food waste there is, but also allowed me to say, you know what, I see the food waste. What else can I develop to really, close the 4MyCity system and make it something that is not being done anywhere else. So again, I had the mindset of like I want to do like technology and stuff in this space. But when COVID hit and we really saw the magnitude of food waste in this country, I was like, all right, you know what? Here's a problem. Here's a solution. Let's now expand my program to like all the different phases and start getting this thing going.
Let's talk about nutrition a little bit because I think that's at the core of this. We talked about the Maryland Food Bank and canned goods, right? And how that goes. You decided like fresh food.
Yeah.
And listen, I would say I'm a pretty healthy 56-year-old guy. I'm into fruits and vegetables, into fresh foods, into hydrate, all of these things that make me not look 56, quite frankly, that I've had to learn along life's highway about food and what's good for you and what's good to just get the Snickers that'll get you through the day. But Snickers is not that's not a way of life, right?
So
good food,
definitely,
good food.
definitely. When people think about hunger and they think about food insecurity, like for me, right? There's food insecurity, there's hunger. Hunger is like you have zero food, right? And most families in Baltimore, I would say maybe 10% of them are really facing hunger, but the most of them are facing food insecurity. Food insecurity really means lack of access to healthy food, right? Food that would be good for your body. So when you look at most food banks, most food pantries, they give you the canned goods and all that kind of stuff. That's a lot of processed food. That's a lot of chemicals in those canned goods and stuff. That's why we have obesity problems. That's why we have diabetes. That's why we have these things.
100%.
But when you drive the streets of Baltimore, even like here in Dundalk, right? When you drive the streets of these inner cities, what don't you see? You don't see produce stands. You don't see
everything you see in an island.
Right.
Everything when you drive through an island,
you don't
it's
see
a
fresh
stand.
Fruit, exactly,
everything's fresh on an island.
You don't
right?
see fresh fruit and stuff. And this is what food insecurity is. And this is why we have huge obesity problem. This is why we have huge diabetic problem and health conditions within these communities, is the lack of access to healthy food. And then some communities, they do have the access there, but then they're completely priced out from it, right? So you can go, and would you buy 4 cucumbers for $4, or would you buy 4 burgers for $4? You're going to choose the 4 Big Macs, right, for the $4. So, and this is the problem, is when you look at these inner city communities, they're really priced out of eating healthy.
Well, and there's also an education part of knowing the value of a cucumber versus a cheeseburger.
There you go.
Everybody wants meat. Everybody wants cheese. Everybody, like all of this stuff.
And this is a big component of what
I
we
live
do at
old
4MyCity.
and skinny on vegetables and rice primarily, and a little bit of protein. And I pimp all of these places, and I put a lot of food out. But, you know what I had for lunch? I had a salad and a little chicken sandwich,
Right.
because I want to be healthy. You can't eat fried all the time. So from your perspective, if I come over, it's going to look like a market of color, and I don't mean black and white, you and me. I mean color of greens and yellows and reds and vegetables. By the way, the folks here have given me a gift. Thank you to Aunt's Toy Closet. I hope that, please don't give me a gift. They gave me some food. They gave me food. They gave me food. That's nice.
So when you look at our spread, it's like a farmer's market. You come in, there's broccoli, there's carrots, there's different food resources that we rescue every day. Families can come once a day, but they can come 5 days a week if they want, and every day. I mean, we if you just came in, for instance today, we have about $141 worth of fresh produce out there that you'd leave with. So, and that's the difference with the 4MyCity model. Most other food banks are one day, right? You have one day of distribution at 9 o'clock or whatever, or Thursday or Wednesday, you can go to it. We're open every day. Every
when did
day,
this
Monday to
become
Friday.
sustainable in your place that moved from a parking lot in Woodlawn to your Wilso Avenue, correct?
When we started getting donations, when people started, a lot of my early years, I funded the program on my own. So I had to, buy the trucks and buy everything on my own. I still pay for a lot of stuff. I would say about 60% of my programming is funded by me. But now we're starting to get donors. Now we're starting to get some businesses that are backing us and supporting us. We're starting to get grants and different things. And that's what we're trying to build by coming on shows like yours, trying to build our donor base just like other organizations.
So you're not I say listers bringing some canned goods, which our friends did, that go.
No.
You're a different, you're a completely different kind of organization.
We don't take residential donations for the canned goods and stuff, only because of our distribution model.
You have a different ask. Definitely.
Yeah. We rather, if you want to come, you can come volunteer with us, or you donate, set up a recurring donation online on our platform. 4mycity.us is our website. The number 4MyCity.us is our website. So you can just donate online. But we rescue so much food in bulk, and we get it directly from the distributors. And because we're giving these out to families, we try to follow safe food handling guidelines and stuff. I'm not saying that I don't know where food from people's homes have been, but because of the volume of food we're putting out, we want to make sure that we handle the food the right way. So the food goes from their refrigerator warehouse to our refrigerator warehouse directly to our distribution table.
Is there any kind of food you can't do in your program?
No.
Because again, a lot of food pantries are like, look, that's spoilable. I can't take milk and cheese and those kinds of things. That becomes more difficult. Where are you to?
No, we bring everything. We have refrigeration. We have freezer space. We as long as it's not. we don't take expired food and we don't give out expired food. Again, I grew up food insecure and I have a lot of pride in the service that my organization is giving. So I don't, my donors know that because we educate them on inventory management and stuff, so we want them to donate. You could donate up to the day of expiration to us and we'll get it out to the communities. All the expiration dates on food really don't mean anything. They're subjective, but it's the thought that you're giving someone this food. I don't want to give someone, just because you're hungry, here, take this because the expiration date is past. You know what? We need to put the pressure on the manufacturers and the distributors to handle the inventory right, so that when we give, we're giving, from an empathetic mindset.
Winter different than summer for you?
Summer is greater. So the need for summer is greater, and this is something people don't factor in. But that is, remember, a lot of kids go to school in these inner cities and these communities, and they get food. When the summer's around, schools are closed.
Oh, right.
So the need is greater because now all these kids are home. And that's not, I got 3 kids, man. They eat like,
kids.
My 12-year-old eats the same as me now. I'm like, holy crap, boy.
Well, that's part of growing, Chris Dipnarine is here. He is with 4MyCity, and that's the number 4MyCity. Yep. This is, it sounds like something that's an international. This is the thing out of South Florida.
No.
It's kind of a cool name, but it doesn't, your city is Baltimore in
exactly.
this case, period.
But, the premise is we can take this and put it in any other city, and it's still going to be 4MyCity, right?
Sure. It's a scalable model here,
But yeah, that's the goal. Is really, for me, this started as a pet project, and I still treat it as a pet project. The beauty about us is this: I don't take a pay from this organization, and we don't have a paid board, we don't have a paid CEO.
You just feed people.
This program is run by kids from the community. So we have a youth mentoring program for kids aged 16 to 23, and I hire them. I pay them $15 an hour. And then they're the ones running everything that you hear me say here. So they're I
want to meet these young people.
Yeah,
they're the ones really doing this.
They're the ones doing it.
You get the first interview. Everyone else. For you to explain this to people as a business in the middle of the plague, when people have masks on, and saying, all right, makes me feel good. I got you had abundance in your life, as you explain it, financially and health-wise and other things. You come here and say, how do I take this thing from a parking lot to, at what point did you realize you had not a business, something that became a calling? It's clearly a calling to you.
Yeah,
to do this, right?
Definitely, man. Before COVID, I definitely had passion for what I was doing because I was rescuing food. We were giving out toys for the kids every year. We were always doing some amazing stuff. But when COVID hit, and you really see how all our infrastructure could shut down, and then you see the struggle of families.
We got a federal government trying to shut the federal government down this morning. Let's just start with that, right?
We did a distribution at the state fairgrounds, right? And people had to come with cars, right? Those are certain guidelines in Maryland right now. We filled the entire parking lot of the Maryland State Fairgrounds for that food distribution. Close to, I think it was 2,000 cars cycled through that distribution that day. One of the largest food distributions here in the state of Maryland. And the crazy part is that we didn't buy a pound of food for that distribution. Everything that we did was rescued. We've rescued and distributed 260 million pounds of food.
Yeah, I love that word that you use, the word rescue food.
Rescue.
What is that? Give everyone in my audience an example of what that means. Give me a call that's going to come to you tomorrow. Somebody's going to say, I got 1,000 pounds of celery. Or literally,
but
how does that work?
Listen, that's it right there, right? So I'll get a call from, a distributor, let's say Imperfect Foods. Hey, Chris, a truck just showed up with bananas. The temperature is off on the bananas, or a couple of cases look like there's a couple of bad bananas. These distributors will refuse that load because of that. Before 1 or 2 cases look bad, they're going to say, we don't want the load. So that trucker now, that trucking company, they're stuck with either throwing that away or doing something with it.
I make banana bread out of that.
So they call us and we're like, hey, look, we got tomatoes. The tomatoes are softer than what they really were, so we got to refuse the truck. I was like, sure, divert it to me. Or if you want to receive it, and then I'll send my truck there to pick it up. But most of the time, the distributor would just divert that load to us.
And you're right off 95 now. That's
exactly.
anybody from New Jersey to Florida car at a drive-in, they want to give you something, they can do it, right?
Companies like Amazon, like for instance, people think Amazon is, remember, Amazon is just a facilitator of these things. People get their product, they put it in Amazon so that you could buy it. So like for instance, if you have a case of water and one of that case is torn while it's coming down the Amazon belt or something, Amazon's not going to retape that and send that to a customer, because guess what, Mr.
It goes into the Island of Misfit Toys.
Mr. Perfect Smith is going to say, oh, you cut mine open. I don't want that. Return it.
Okay.
Right? And all that goes into like this big bin of just miscellaneous stuff, and their donation person just kind of sorts it, puts it in boxes, and we pick up at Amazon every single week all these miscellaneous items.
I'm glad that Bezos is doing something now. You know,
yeah,
I mean,
listen, Amazon is a great.
It gets a bad rap sometimes, right? I mean, hey, down here at Trade Point Atlantic,
this is like our biggest facility is right here off of Sparrows Point.
Well, absolutely. Oh man, it's really nice to meet you. I've heard a lot about you. This is fun. We should do this more often. 4MyCity is the name of what we do here. Chris Dipnarine. I'm going to have other guests here. I have a camp opportunity coming a little later on. We were talking about Ann's Toy Closet in Essex at St. John's Lutheran Church. I'm running out of words here, so I must be in Dundalk. We're at Costas. It's all brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. I have the Magic 8-ball tickets we're giving away. I haven't given you one. There, that's your number 7, 007. Lucky 007 there. Also, we're going to be tomorrow on Tuesday. We're going to be back downtown at Fately's at the Inner Harbor at Lexington Market. We're going to be at Coco's on Wednesday. Thursday, we're going to be over at State Fair over in your side of town. State Fair over in Catonsville. And then we're going to be up at Cooper's North on Friday telling cancer stories, food stories, church stories, love stories, people stories, community stories. That's kind of what this Cup of Super Bowl is all about. We are collecting canned goods from the Maryland Food Bank. He doesn't take canned goods, but I got some canned goods here. Come on out all week long. We're making sure these are winding up in pantries like the Catonsville Community Assistance Program that I'm going to be talking to Carolyn Kirby about over in State Fair on Thursday. All right, so for our folks here, if they're not bringing you canned goods and they're not bringing you dented bananas, give them an action item and also I would say, and I haven't been there, I kind of want to see your place and kind of see it in action, or go online and see.
Go to my Instagram. We post the videos every single day of like the food processes. Like I have a live feed camera that we kind of show, when what's on the table. Like I'll put, tables are stocked and people can kind of glue them down there. We're launching our 4MyCity app hopefully by the end of this month. And when you download our 4MyCity app, you'll see everything that's on the table for that day. So our visitors, we have 11,000 families signed up to our program that come through our facility. We see about 300 families daily walk through our pantry.
That's 2,000 a week. That's 8,000 a month. I'm going math here. I'm doing the real math on that. That stacks up.
Yep. That's.
Do you ever get silly, dangerously low?
Yeah. I mean, listen.
That the second 100 family that comes in on a Friday, you run low.
We always have something for the families. We never get where we're out of everything.
But you don't want to be stocked to the ceiling either, because it is fresh food. Right?
Exactly.
Literally.
So we always have to move. But that's why we're rescuing every day. So we rescue every day. But we don't get to the point where we're out of food. We're always going to have something on our tables for the families. We give out socks. We give out clothes, we give out toys. Every year I do, like this past year, we did 35,000 toys for the kids in the community.
That's a lot of toys.
Brand new toys. We do book bags, brand new book bags and school supplies every September for the toys. We really give back because, like I said, every donation, you're not paying to like fat executive salaries. So all that money goes right back in the programs that we're doing for our community. That's what I love about the 4MyCity. All our payroll is for the youth mentees. That's the kids in the community. Right.
Are you in the city or the county?
So we're in the city.
You're right on the city. You're
right
close to the county, though, right?
Just there by St. Agnes Hospital. We're just under the Soto Park. Right.
Well, that's why I knew right where the right by 95. Quite frankly, you see your place from 95.
Exactly.
All right, 4MyCity. Please go out, check it out. Check out all the stuff we're doing out at Baltimore Positive this week. I'm going to be getting all this out, and in addition, there's this little football game this week. Joe Flacco's been on this week. Mike Nolan, a whole bunch of Hall of Fame voters talking about Marshall Yonda and Terrell Suggs and Steve Smith. You an American football guy yet? Or what?
Yeah. Listen, Flacco supports us. Flacco did a couple of fundraisers for us.
Really?
Yeah,
Joe's the best guy ever.
Jersey. Joe's awesome, man.
Well, Joe did like 40 minutes with me this week and visited, stopped by, and he
did a top golf fundraiser for us. Zay Flower has done a top golf. Justin Tuck has done a top golf. Ray Rice has done work for us. So we've had a couple.
I'll come and referee. I'm not playing any golf, not with this back. Chris Dipnarine, you can find him at 4MyCity. You can also find him like I did out on LinkedIn as well. My thanks to you, man.
Yeah. I mean, like I said the easy Instagram has all our fun videos and stuff. You'll see our kids taking so. Right, 4MyCity.us.
Most important thing, we're talking food. I'm not hungry right now. I'm at Costas. I can get anything I want to eat here. But if I come over to your house for a Trinidad Tobago feast, celebration, what would that look like? Is there like a national celebration? Is there a national dish? Is there something that you specialize in that you make that I would say that's good?
So I mean, we listen. It's time and day, right? So we Trinidad. There's so much food, man. We make there's roti, there's the curry chicken, stewed chicken. There's the rice dish we call pilau.
See, I see rice and spice is what I'm saying.
Maryland here's crab, so we do a callaloo, with
that's what I'm talking about. Do you distribute callaloo over there? Some ackee and saltfish for me?
Exactly. So
you gonna do that?
We do a nice callaloo and you put the crab in there, the nice blue crab and stuff in there, man.
See, he says callaloo. It's really just spinach. It's just spinach,
yeah.
But it's better than spinach.
It's better than spinach.
It is, because it's callaloo.
So you make some callaloo and a nice macaroni pie, man. That's, again, there's all kind of different dishes.
Spoken like an island man here. Chris Dipnarine, first time and an absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it making a way over here. We're in Dundalk. We're at Costas Inn. It's all brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. You have the Magic 8-ball scratch-offs. They were going to give me the Monopoly tickets, and I'm like, I just like scratching the 8-ball. It makes me feel good. Make sure you download the app with Maryland Lottery as well, mdlottery.com. Also, our friends at Wise Markets. We call these Wise Conversations because I learn stuff. That's why they're Wise Conversations. Cup of Super Bowl out on the road all week long. Make sure you come and find us. And also, Luke is monitoring all things Justin Tucker as well as Orioles and Ravens offseason. And there's a football game on Sunday. I'm Nestor, back for more from Costas. It's a Cup of Super Bowl and learning stuff and hanging out with cool people. Stay with us.